So yeah, as you know, right, supermarkets are literally running out of food. And doesn't this just tell you how dependent we are on everyone for everything? And at any moment, for example, Walmart might run out of food supplies, and then a city or a state has got no food, and then we're fucked. So, like, what do we do? When do we start taking it seriously? Like, we have to start saving, like, supply rations, like pasta that lasts for like 25 years, or cans of tuna, because it's a real thing now that there's floods and there's flu and shit like that. That at some point food's going to run out. Like, we should take it seriously. I think so. Anyway.
Well, I mean, people are still producing, people are still shipping. I don't want to say that I'm not concerned at all. Of course, I have my concerns. I've got a family to worry about. I've got friends to worry about. But in all honesty, life is going on. I mean, we're continuing to produce things. Farmers are still farming. So the fact that, we're low on rations doesn't mean that we're completely out or that we're going to run out. I believe that yes, there is a shortage because it's an immediate thing that everybody ran out and got it. And part of me also thinks that, it's the way that the media is portraying this whole thing and marketing the whole thing. And they're telling people, well, run out and get this and get that. I actually think, and I read this online, I thought it was brilliant. I don't know if this is just somebody with some sort of conspiracy theory, in which case, brilliant. And if it's true, again, brilliant. I was reading that the media is purposely telling people, go out and buy toilet paper, go out and buy baby wipes. Because if they told everyone to go out and just buy food, there would be no food left on the shelves within a few hours. So what's the most benign thing that we could tell people to go out and buy? So now everybody's stockpiling fucking toilet paper instead of actually going and buying all the food. Now while you're at the store, you're like, all right, this is silly. Let me grab a few cans of this and that. So, I don't think that we're going to have an issue where we're completely running out of food. I think there may be limitations on what you can buy. And maybe, you could tell people, look, it's a 10 product minimum, or you can only buy this many cans of food or this many bags of whatever. But I don't think that we're ever going to run into a problem like that just because of how we've already evolved into the civilization that we are.
Don't you find it fascinating? Obviously, this is how life works. When you think about Bitcoin, supply and demand, when everyone buys Bitcoin, the price goes up. The media speak about it. Everyone buys Bitcoin, it jumps up to like 10 grand. And then everyone who bought a 5 grand sells that and it goes down. It's the same for the toilet paper. Everyone hears about the toilet paper thing. Everyone sees it on the news cover it. Everyone buys more toilet paper. Everyone goes out to buy toilet paper. Isn't it fascinating how this is how life works, this supply and demand thing? But when you compare toilet paper to Bitcoin, it's exactly the same, isn't it? Like, it will reach its peak, and then everyone will be like, I've got all this fucking toilet paper, all this Bitcoin, and it's only worth this much now because because the companies increase the toilet paper price because everyone's buying it, and then they reduce it back down to like $1. It's fascinating. It's the same damn thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, at least toilet paper is a tangible good. I can't wipe my ass with Bitcoin, but at least I could say, hey, look, I've got 50 rolls of this and I'm only going to use maybe 20. So why don't we barter for something else? Give me 10 cans of that canned corn and give me 5 cans of tuna. I'll give you these 10 rolls of toilet paper. At least there's some use to that.
This is the thing, right? I think that it's not long now until we start negotiating, bartering, and trading amongst ourselves. So as you said, everyone's doing everything, right? Where to get a haircut, it's like £5, £4, £3, because they can't compete unless they drop. Car washing, there's like, everyone's washing your car for $5, $4. Eventually, everything's going to be worth £1, right? iPhones are going to have to come right down because no fucker's going to spend £1,000 on a shitting new iPhone, right? Everything's going to be traded equally. And as you said, we're going to start trading toilet roll for an iPhone, or a carrot for a KFC chicken wing, a lampshade for a pillow, because it's all going to be worth £1 anyway. And it's just going to be direct trade, like Jesus's day, trading carrots for corn and gold for frankincense. Literally, that is exactly the way it's going. Like coin for a Bitcoin. I mean, it's, what I mean?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really hoping that it doesn't reach those levels where we're at the point where we've reverted back to a point where we just need to trade for everything, and money and the whole monetization system is just out the window completely. I feel like this whole thing is going to be one very sharp V. You know what I mean? Where it's going to be a very quick decline, and everything's going to go down, and everyone's going to panic, and then as soon as somebody comes on the news, anybody other than Trump, and I'm not shitting on Trump at all. I'm just saying that any people don't take him as serious. If somebody comes on TV who people genuinely will listen to and says, "Okay, look, the numbers are declining, people are getting better. We've now got vaccinations. Everybody calm the fuck down." All of a sudden, it's going to be a very, very quick increase in everything, in the economy, in spending, in everything, and I think it'll bounce back hard. Unfortunately, there will be a lot of businesses and a lot of people that are affected by the low point in that V. But I do believe that this is a very temporary thing. I don't imagine we're ever really going to get to the point where, I'll be reaching out to you and saying, Oliver, I need you to ship me a bag of Doritos and, I'll send you these 2 bottles of Coke. I just don't
Yeah.
think so. And we're all so removed from one another anyway that, to be honest, I've lived in this house for 5 years. I have no fucking idea who my neighbors are. And I don't see myself going next door and asking them, if they'd like to trade for this or that.
Excuse me, I need to wipe my ass. It's really mucky. I only had like 5 wipes. I think I'm gonna need 8. Do you mind if you just like some under the door? Yeah, like I lost 3 grand in the stock market to the coronavirus, and I also put 3 grand in all the cryptocurrencies. So
Mhm.
when Litecoin, for example, was £40 3 years ago, I bought one, and then it went up to like 300, and I fucking shit. I kidded myself. I was like, fuck's sake! If only I just left it in. So now it went back down to 40. I'm realizing I can't make the same mistake twice. So
Right.
like I bought a few more Litecoin. I bought a lot of stuff, but the point is that when it drops, it will go back up. And if it's only dropped because of the virus, then when the virus goes, as you said, markets will go back to normal. Like the fucking stock market lost £3 trillion literally overnight, and it went up a trillion. How could I'm fucking watched it go from like 29 to 25 to 22 to 20 to 23 back down to 21. It's fucking crazy, and it's true. Every time the media says something better or worse, people respond to it.
Right.
Um, it's crazy, like how media does play a massive effect in everything, and it just shows the power of it. Like you can change so much by what you say, one word, and then people go into panic. And if you say it's going to be all right, people start buying again because they now think, okay, everyone's going to start buying because it's going to go up, and then everyone buys, and then it's fucking crazy. Like China, there's 44 new cases today. Yesterday there was 2. Well, as soon as it starts to balance out, and no one comes in other borders, like we're shutting now, the
Mhm.
flu will just like the storm, it will just pass by. If you're weak, you'll die. If you're strong, you'll get it, and then you'll just come out the other side. And then, like a storm, it will just pass, and everyone will just go back to normal.
Right.
Um, Pretty much no point making a new strain for this because this is the new strain anyway. It's like you're presuming another flu from a bat or a chicken is going to be the same as this.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? So you can't just create a flu strain after the fact because every animal has a different strain anyway. So again, this is just life. This is just life. Humans will get wiped out because we are not in control. It's as simple as that.
Sure. I mean, we'd like to believe that we're in control, but ultimately we're not. I mean, really, no one is. We can't control our fate. What I think is going to be a really interesting result of all this is how people trust or distrust the media, because, like you said, they control us in a way where they're able to instill fear in all people, and fear is how you control people. It's not through, you know being a fearless leader or someone who's very well respected. It's all through fear. And if you're able to scare people, they will listen to what you say, and they control the markets. But now, let's say a year from now, when all of this has passed, and people realize that this is basically just a bullshit flu. I hate to say it, and I'm not trying to make light of the people who are sick or dying. It's terrible. Those are the same people who are sick or dying, and they would have died from or the regular flu or pneumonia or whatever. So all these people are going to start to kind of wake up and say, these motherfuckers, they made such a big deal out of a flu. Why should I listen to anything they say? And I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the media moving forward and the markets and everything, because this kind of shows that not only do they have complete control over how people react to things and how people prepare for things, but it's all these. It's the fact that they use that control for you to do their bidding, and to buy what they're selling, and it's kind of fucked up because I think everyone's going to start to kind of wake up and say to themselves, well, that was all bullshit. So why isn't everything else they say bullshit?
Yeah, it's true. Like, there's your usual seasonal flu, which comes from, say, a duck or a bat, right?
Hmm.
And it spreads around. People die and people live. It's just That's just the way it is. And if you have a flu jab, a flu vaccine for that strain of flu, then you're more likely to survive. Now, this is just another flu, apart from no one's had a jab vaccine. So now all the people that would have died who didn't have the vaccine are probably going to die because they haven't got the vaccine. Still, people die from flu, period. It's just, again, the media hype it all up. And yeah, it's a different form of flu, which technically means because we aren't exposed to it already, more
Right.
people would die because of this. But it's not going to be like millions more. Because if you think about how many people actually take vaccines around the world anyway, compared to how many people there are on the planet, again, there's 8 billion people. I'll be surprised if a billion people take the flu vaccine. And it's like, well, those billion people, are they really going to have an impact by not spreading that flu because they've all had the vaccine? And it's like, well, these people are probably all in China and in India anyway because there's so many people there.
Right.
So, it's still going to do what it's going to do. Like a storm is going to pass by. It's going to destroy everything in its path. There's just some things that humans aren't in control of, as we think we are. And again,
Hmm.
most of the time, it's humans creating a problem, so humans can find a solution, so humans can profit.
Right.
And I already know this. We are not God. At some point, we're going to have to stop building houses. For example, North Carolina, middle of the fucking desert, right? Because storms just keep knocking it down. Eventually, people got to realize, okay, this is happening consistently, regardless of why it's happening. We need to move inland or move to a different place where the pressure is different because storms are destroying everything. California people are going to realize there's fires every year. We can't live in California anymore. We're going to have to sort of go out towards, I don't know, Arizona or wherever's next door. Same as, people living along the coast of Malibu. If the flood is rising, it doesn't matter why it's rising. That is just what's happening. Ancient cities have been underwater for years. Maybe that's just what life is doing. Balances out the water. It takes it from here. That becomes a sea, and that dries up, and then we'll come across all this gold and like fucking ancient cities from the Egyptian days. And it's just how it is. The flu wipes out the weak, and so therefore there's less humans together. So now we are stronger. We live. We keep breeding. We're close together. We're going to catch it. It's just like you put plants too close together, they'll take each other's nutrients and moisture, and then most of them will die, and you're left with just two trees here and here. We're no different. We're fucking no different.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it's funny because like the difference between how people used to approach those situations, like if they were in an area where it was nonstop flooding or nonstop fires, they would say, "All right, fuck it, we're moving to the next town over or the next state or whatever. Get in your horse and buggy and go." And I think now, like these corporations, these developers, they incentivize people to stay, and it's so crazy to me because I've had this conversation before with people from just middle America, who live in and around like Tornado Alley and areas like that, and like Oklahoma, and you say to them like, your house got torn to pieces, and there's every statistic to show that it's going to happen again. Why don't you leave? And their mindset is either one, I don't have the money to move anywhere else, or two, well, we were going to, but then we got all these government incentives to stay and rebuild for a really good price, and the taxes here are so low. So they look at things from a monetary standpoint, and they say to themselves, well, I can't move to New York where there's no tornadoes because what am I going to live in the city where a studio apartment costs like $3,200 a month? Or I can live here where I have almost zero tax and it costs like $20,000 to build a house. So I'll take my chances.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can pretty much buy land anywhere in the country.
Right.
Yeah, it might be a bit cold, a bit rainy, a bit hot, a bit whatever, but like things happen in patterns. When there's storms happening here, that's because the pressure there is what's needed for the storm, whatever. If you move somewhere else, it would take potentially like a few years for storms to go there, maybe for hundreds of years. Yeah, there might be more likely to be fires there or flooding, but that's just how it works. Animals migrate when there's too much heat or too much rain or flooding or not enough food or there's it's just what it is. We're supposed to migrate because the pressures all come back around. We think that humans can just build a house and just like live off an energy supply to provide gas and water, that everything's going to be hunky dory. It's
Right.
fucking nonsense. If you look at animals, they never stay in the same place. They fucking apart from the cows the farmers put in the fields, yeah. Most animals they migrate because when it gets cold, they either fucking die or they move.
Right.
We're no different. Yeah, people just have to move, like change cities. It's just life. Yeah, you might
Yeah.
miss your neighbours. You'll find new neighbours. You know, half your neighbours going to be dead next year, so it's like you like choose. You and your 6 neighbours can go now, or you and your 3 neighbours can go next year because 3 of them died. It's a choice.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and for whatever reason, it's something that maybe people haven't paid enough attention to as to why we choose to, stay in the places that we stay. Like what is it that's driving that? Because statistically, most people, I think it's like fucking 90 something percent of people live their entire lives within 5 miles of where they grew up or went to high school or some shit. I mean, why? Like, what is that thing? Is it the fact that they're so comforted in knowing the geography of where they live, or, that they've built this very abbreviated existence, in the first half of their life, so they assume that they have to spend the second half of their life there? Like I love the idea of moving around and seeing new things and meeting new people. Like I've already moved around, to a couple states, and in my experience, it's great, and for whatever reason you don't end up staying there is irrelevant, but to only be in one place within 5 miles of where you were born is fucking crazy to me. Like you're not even like living at that point. Like you're just stationary. Like you're immobile, you're immobilizing your own existence.
Yeah, like they're saying the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, right?
Yeah.
What that's saying is that what the tree's made up of will just spread locally to it, and what is made will be there. So people they go out with their friends, their family's friends, their cousins, their uncles, their aunties, their your nan knows my aunt. This that comfort zone of connection of people, and weak people they depend on people emotionally, financially, physically. They need people to even like ask questions because they've not got a brain to work things out. That's not their fault. It's just how it is. So
Mm.
they need that support of everyone around them, familiarity, because they're comforted to, I know that path goes there. Whereas if you suddenly move to a random place, you're not confident. You can't speak to people. If you're scared of the dark, you can't just explore alleyways to realize, okay, that gets me there. People aren't familiar with new things and it's scary and they don't know how to ask people shit. So it's easy just to stay in the same thing. And yeah, if there's a storm, if everyone else is staying, because everyone else is following everyone else who's staying, they're all a follower following a follower. And they're only staying because that person's staying, but that person's following that person. So again, it's like, why do people chain smoke in school? Because they think if they don't smoke, that person's going to think that I'm not cool. And that person's thinking the same thing. And it's just this perception of that everyone's judging me if I don't, but they're all thinking the same thing that doesn't exist. So if everyone were just to communicate and be like, look, we need to fucking move because we got lucky this time. We're going to fucking die. It's all circumstantial, and that is why people stay, because it's comforting their surroundings. Like I'm a traveler, I can't wait to travel the world. I never want to stay in the same place more than once because, like, plants live and they die. They don't just suddenly like fucking stay for years and years and years. It has its short lifespan. It creates an acorn, and that dies, and the acorn creates another tree. As in, I'm the same thing, moving around, gaining knowledge, learning experience, seeing cultures. It's fucking fantastic. Learning how to cook different foods, smells. It's amazing. The same shit, living in the same place. My life scares the fuck out of me.
What's your favorite food?
I mean, I think because I eat a lot of like, my favorite takeaway is Chinese. But that's because I'm in a place where there's just Chinese and Indian, and like that's it.
Mm.
If I went to other countries, I'll be trying so much stuff like snake, tarantula. There's so much food around the world, man. Like people are missing out, but again, it all comes down to money, really. That's
Right.
pretty much the reason why people don't even move their block 20 grand to build a house. I'll stay here. So you can understand, but
Sure.
yeah, when it comes down to survival, then people change. Like when they lose their little brother or something, then they change. Sadly.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is circumstantial. Some of it's just based on what you can and can't do, whether it's, financially or even emotionally. Some people don't have it in them to move, and they're dying to, and their anxiety is so crippling that they can't leave the house, but all they want to do is see the world. So I guess everybody's different, and everybody kind of lives their life the way that they know how. But I don't know, man. I mean, I think that, the whole thing, in my mind, should blow over pretty soon. I know a lot of people are saying, well, this is only the beginning, blah, blah. Kids are only out of school for 2 weeks, but it's going to end up being the whole rest of the year. I don't think that's really going to be the case. I don't. I think that, with my kids being home from school right now, they're all just kind of hanging out and just working from home. But what are they going to do with all these other people? Like, what about the single moms who can't stay home? They have to go out and provide for their kids. Like, they have to take all these things into account. Like, didn't Italy excuse mortgages for a month?
I
I
don't
think
know,
I was
but
reading
that's
something
the
like that.
only way you're going to sort out the problem is the government have to somehow bail out all the companies that depend on the landlord, you depend on the bank, you depend on this. Government have to step in with all their wealth of everyone collectively, like insurance, where they make their money from everyone not using them. So there's a big pot full of money. It's the only way if you want to keep like the economy up and running because everyone depends on the next person. And
Mhm.
they either all fucking crumble or government sort of just you bill the government like how much that cost, how much rent did you not afford to pay, just to keep it going. Because at the end of the day, government's gonna have to bail the banks out anyway if everyone crumbles. So why don't they do it now? But yeah, um, that is pretty much the only way it's possible. Government getting involved, and yeah, I think within 4 weeks everything will be up and running because China, the new cases are getting less and less and less. If we're stopping the boarding and the planes and the traveling, which is why it's spread in the first place, then it just has to go through that 14-day period of when you get it, you get ill, you either die or you survive and you're better. It has to go through. If you get it, you'll survive or you'll die, or you've not got it, and like a storm, it will pass by. That only needs like 14 days. So as long as we're not spreading it more, then it will come down within 4 weeks, I reckon. I'm pretty
Right.
confident.
As much of an inconvenience as it is, obviously it's all for the greater good. So, I mean, I think it's silly for the people who are saying, well, fuck it, I'm going out anyway, and I'm gonna keep my bar open until they arrest me. Like, I can understand why anybody would or should stay home and avoid spreading this thing. Um, but, again, you're right. I mean, the people who are really most affected by the disease itself, not by, well, like the whole domino effect, are, it's really just like the people who are already sick. There's 2 cases in my entire county of people who have actually passed away from this. Everyone else, there's some infections. I want to say it's up to 100 and something in an entire county. All right. But I mean, 2 people who died, one was 80 something, the other one was 90 something. So, I mean, what does that tell you? And I think that it's just, looking at the numbers, there's so little to be afraid of. It blows my mind that people are making such a freaking huge deal out of it. But again, it's the media who's sensationalizing it. It's not us, you know?
Like yeah, so it's like look at the normal flu last year in your town. Okay, I bet more than 2 people died from the normal flu in
Yeah,
your town, and yes, they probably were old. That's just the way it is.
right.
Well, here's the thing: like, if let's just say the media isn't just serving the people by telling them what they want to hear, and yet they are doing it because of whatever reason, right? It's lost so much money in the stock market, right? What if there is people pulling the strings of media? For example, now companies come along with certain things, and we're now relying on them for profit. Like, what if that is the case?
I mean, chances are, at least to some degree, it is the case. That's always the case, right? Because there's always going to be some alternate, agenda that we're not going to be aware of, and we'll never know ever. You and I will never be in that room having that conversation with these people who are saying, okay, here's how it's going to go down. We're going to do this, and maybe initially the disease did exist. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a brand new disease. We're just it's just kind of exploded into whatever it is now. But I mean, if you look at the back of a Lysol can, like it's already been printed on there for a while. So they, I think
And
there's
say that
definitely some
again. Look at the
people,
back of a what?
like a can of Lysol. It's
What's
like
that?
like a disinfectant spray, and it's already printed on the label that
What's on the label?
that it's meant to treat well, not treat, but like when you spray like the disinfectant spray in the air, like on the back it says, it's meant for this, it's meant for this, and one of the things it specifically says coronavirus.
Really?
Yeah,
And that was before the coronavirus like thing outburst right now.
to my knowledge, yes.
So that means that it's a certain virus that all the medics and scientists already know about.
Yep.
So then it's like, okay, well, why didn't they find a vaccine before? Or maybe they were still working on it. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, where did it even come from? And can dogs get it? Like, if humans can get it and it's come from an animal, for example, how come dogs can't get it if it came from, say, I don't know, a bat or something? You know what I mean? It's like when
Yeah.
you kiss your dog, how come you don't get ill? How come your dog doesn't get your cough? Or, like dogs don't get ill. Why is that? You ever thought about that? You ever see a dog like,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure dogs do
their
cough,
system
but
works differently.
yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah, I mean, they've, um, I don't know, I couldn't give you a good enough answer, but I mean, I know that the way that their body works and their chemistry is definitely different enough from ours, where we can't contract diseases from one another. The same way that, like, if my dog caught like whooping cough, like I wouldn't have to worry about it. I could still carry her around and bring her to the vet.
I suppose it is like a zebra trying to mate with a giraffe. It's not possible because they're not the same. Like the cells and the genetics or whatever aren't the same. But like a horse and a zebra could probably end up creating a horsey or something. Like, you
I'd
know,
like to see that.
yeah. So it must be that the dog's system is different to humans. That is absolutely why. But so, there was a thing on Netflix, this vaccine thing. It actually came out the same day the coronavirus came out. Like it was a Netflix documentary of vaccines where they're coming up with one vaccine, like one injection will cure all strains of flu. They got it down from 6 to 3 injections, but they're trying to get it down to one, which means, for example, if every human got that jab, we would be covered for every type of flu. So coronavirus, Ebola, swine flu. That is interesting. Bill Gates has just funded that. So it's interesting to see how Bill Gates Foundation end up accelerating that program because of what's happened. Like they might suddenly flood more money into it because of they've seen what fucking disaster happens because of this.
Hmm. I wonder if Netflix had something to do with this.
Netflix, China, Corona. As you said, you can think of every path of this and every path of that. And it might be glimpses of this and that. It's
Right.
not everyone. It's just like small glimpses of this, small glimpses of that. We'll never know. And yeah, it's just life. There is many factors behind everything. And it isn't one, it's not the other. It's like some hear Yenny, some hear Laurel, the blue and the gold dress. Some see blue, some see gold.
Mhm.
Life is two things. There's negative and positive people. It's not, oh, 25 humans died. It's like, okay, well, 25 of those were negative. And the reason why the other ones didn't die is because they were positive. And so the
Mhm.
vibration, your immune system, how your cells reproduce, is based on the vibration and the biology of the state your body's in. So if you're a negative person, essentially your cells are dying anyway. If you get like a disease or whatever, you're going to die. So it's not just humans who have died. There's negative and positive humans, which means the biology is different. So we're not just all one human. It's like these people die because they're negative people.
Right. Exactly.
Everything is two sides. It's not just you've got 2 eyes and a nose and 2 ears, you're a human. No, your biology, how your cells are made up is different to mine. And how we think and how we feel and how we see things, how we hear sound and how we store memories is based on your vibration. Hence why some people hear Yenny, some hear Laurel, because, for example, they're tone deaf, because they spend a lot of time in their head, negatively charged, worrying, replaying fear. So
Right.
that is also a big factor.
Yeah, it's very true. Life is all about your perception, how you perceive things. If you're a negative person, everything's going to be bad. Everything is going to suck. Everything is shit. if you want to look at the bright side of things, I personally am an optimist when it comes to almost everything. Everything short of, even let's say somebody passing away. I had a friend who passed away the other day from cancer. Um, I was the only one there, at the wake when everybody else was, crying and being upset. And I said, guys, like I'm there making jokes and I'm, trying to have a good time. And everyone's like, the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, guys, we're not
You're
here
such a
to.
cold-hearted asshole.
Right, you're a piece of shit. But no, I mean, I'm like, guys, you're looking at this the wrong way, man. Like, be thankful that you had this friend. Be thankful that you had this soul in your life. Be thankful that you
They
got to
the
meet him.
cancer and die.
Right. But we're not here, to just to say goodbye. Like, you're here to fucking celebrate the fact that this person existed. And that's kind of my philosophy on everything. If you don't look at things that way, I mean, what the fuck are you doing? Then you're just ruining your own one chance at life.
That's the thing. Like, say for example, the coronavirus, it will spread, and then the weak will die, and the strong will survive. You look at a big tree when you plant loads of trees. Like the reason they plant loads of trees is because they know that one's going to survive out of the eight, right? And that's because he gets the most nutrients and takes their nutrients. Well, if you apply that to humans, for example, like your friends at the wake, if you apply to the all the friends at the wake, right, and then you apply that to people who don't move from a storm, as you said, they depend on each other. Those types of people who are dependent on people or not independent, often they are negative rather than positive, right?
Right.
Positive people are free and independent. They can just survive by themselves, right? Negative people, they need each other. So all those people who are friends of that person, for example, they see it as a loss. And then what tends to happen is their other friend also will die, and then the other friend will die, and they'll see their whole life falling apart. And therefore they don't have the need, they don't have anything to live for because their life was made up of all those people. And it's like, well, they're going now. That's it. That I don't want to live anymore. And so you go into a depressive state of mind, anxiety. You don't bother with yourself. You don't shave. You don't eat well because it's almost like where your friends are, you want to go too because they're your friends. So when your friends go to the bar, you want to go to the bar. If your friends have gone to spirit world, you want to go there. Hence why people give up. Hence why when an old grandma, for example, and the husband passes away and they've been together for say 80 years, they give up too because they don't want to be there anymore. Like my granddad was an alcoholic, but he accelerated the drinking when his wife died because he depended on her for everything. He didn't want to be here anymore. And that's what's happening. Life should be celebrated because we've only got one shot. Whereas all these people depend on everybody, that when something goes, the dynamics changes, it's a knock-on effect. As you said, they're all crying. Before you know it, they're in a depressive state, crying more. Somebody else dies, or maybe they go into a depressive state because they lost their friend. They take drugs and then they die. And then it's just this knock on effect where life's coming to an end. What's happening with the world? Fucking everyone's dying, cancer, coronavirus, flu. And they don't look at the alternative like life, nature, happiness, celebrating with people, love, care. Again, there's just as much there as there is here. It's how you look at it. The blue and the green, so the blue and the gold dress. It's how you look at it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, look, you got to kind of take things for what they are. And shitty things happen to all people, good people, bad people, typically good people for whatever reason. But, without any sour, there is no sweet, and you have to kind of accept that sometimes bad things will happen to you. At some point, we will all pass, and it may not be the most comfortable death, or you may lose money in the stock market, or whatever. But how sweet is it to get your money back in the stock market a week later, and or double that money? You wouldn't know that feeling had you not lost it in the first place. So I know it's a shitty feeling to lose money, or to be hurt, but if that didn't exist, you wouldn't know happiness. And I try to focus on that, and be mindful of that regardless of what's going on around me. Like when I learned that my friend passed, yeah, of course I was upset, of course I cried. I didn't blame the world. I didn't go online and buy a hashtag fuck cancer shirt and start like like doing whatever, running marathons and shit. I mean, even though that's nice too, but I I sat alone for a few minutes. I cried. I thought about my friend. Then I went upstairs and I made breakfast for my kids, and
Life
I,
moved on. You let it go. You said goodbye in your head, and he
yeah,
said goodbye to you, and you understand that's life. And we know thousands of people and one by one you're going to hear calls that John's died, Darry died, he got run over by a car, he got cancer, he got shot, he got stabbed. That's just life. It's just life. And if people accept and embrace life, they'll be mentally prepared for the reality that you're going to have a call that your mate's died or whatever happened. It's just the way it is. You can't think that life is all hunky dory. You've got your house and your sofa and your two kids and everything's fine, because that's not how life works. You need to
Right.
understand that you try your best to see to increase your survival and be healthy and love people, because you might not know when you're going to see them again. Say goodbye, hug them, make an effort. But the reality is that any point something could happen. They could have a car crash. That is just out of anyone's control, and that comes down to knowledge. And knowledge is restricted, especially this type of knowledge that, you know, if you think about something, it's going to happen again in terms of negative and positive mindset. And
Right.
people who don't have access to this knowledge, sadly, won't know the other life of it's not just what you see, and there's so much more. Hence why, as you said, traveling is freedom.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's not to say that everybody needs to just pick up and move somewhere random. You know what I mean? Like, be smart in your decisions. Like, of course, like when I said to my wife, hey, let's move, let's get the hell out of here. Like, why don't we go somewhere nice? And, of course, I had to research what kind of school system they had there, or what kind of, crime statistics they had there. I'm not just going to blindly move into the worst neighborhood in the worst town in America, um, but you should still move around, or at least travel, see the world, see your country, see more of your state even. Some people don't even leave their own town. I grew up with someone, so when I was a kid, I grew up in Brooklyn. And, even if you've never been to Brooklyn, I think everybody has some idea of what Brooklyn is all about. And, it's a melting pot, it's New York City. And you're a 20-minute train ride from Manhattan. And when I moved out to Long Island, I kind of realized at a young age, I think I was like 12 or 13, how sheltered a lot of these kids were. And none of them had ever even like left the town, let alone the state or country. We had a security guard who worked at our school, and he was a black guy. And one of the girls in my cafeteria, when the black guy like first got there, she's like, oh, it's a black person. And I'm like, uh-huh. And I'm like, so what? And she's like, I've never actually seen one in person.
Oh my god.
I'm like, wait, what? Like, you live in New York. Like, I know we're not in the city, but what?
She's not
And
moved 20 minutes out of her plow, out of her house.
right, which also means that, I mean, granted, this girl's 13, so it's not like she's gonna get in the car and go somewhere. That means her parents never took her anywhere.
What's
So
me?
not
That's
only is
even
she's
worse.
an asshole, her parents are even bigger assholes.
Oh, dude.
So it just fucking blows my mind.
So
So
you're telling me that 20 grand you could build a house in North Carolina? 20 grand?
yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to be the most extravagant house, and it's not going to be the biggest house, but yeah, I mean, that's basically all just material, you know.
Brick or just
Yeah, just wood and sheetrock and whatever else. But I mean, you don't have to go that high end with your material. You can build a house for like 20 grand.
honestly, like I think this is the way life's gonna go. So many developers are buying land, right, off people who sat on that land to make profit, right? So now
Right.
they've got to sell their fucking houses for so much more, right? Houses in England, for example, to get a three-bed house, it's £400,000, which is about $600,000, right?
Mm.
And when you look at the size of the American houses, they're fucking huge compared to ours. Like our house is probably like an American house for the same price is like 4 to 1, 4 times bigger than ours, right? And it's crazy. And I think what's going to happen is that people are going to start to buy small plots of land, not fucking acres and acres. It's not necessary, right? Small plots of land and build their own damn house out of their own materials. Maybe not wood, maybe not sorry brick, but wood. Or they'll get like they'll be creative. They will get like storage units and they'll create their own like house out of it. Because there's just to buy a house these days, it's just not possible for anyone my age, 27. I'll be buying a house when I'm fucking 50, right? The time it takes to buy a house, and that's not spending a penny. So that's
Right.
what has to happen. We're going to buy land and build their own little house, because it's just not going to be possible.
Well,
Again, yeah,
I mean that kind of exists. And I mean, like, there's shows on it now. Like, I don't know if you guys have it there, but it's like there's a show called Tiny Houses, and it's basically just young couples, and they they either buy or build these little houses, and it doesn't matter where it is. Some of them will build it in their parents' backyard, but it's their own. You know, a lot of them they'll just
Yeah,
buy a little plot of land somewhere in Texas,
yeah.
and it's no bigger than, like you said, a storage unit or like a glorified shed, but it's theirs and it's their spot and it's their land and nobody can really take it away from them. And I think people are starting to kind of wake up to that reality that you don't need an acre of land, that you don't need 6 bedrooms when it's just you or just you and your wife or husband. Um, it's not realistic. And to say, I think that a lot of times that people kind of are raised a certain way and they think that that's just how you're supposed to live. And if you don't do it this way, then you're a failure. But I think, the reality should be just that you work for what you need, and if you don't need a huge house, don't get a huge house, like you're not impressing anybody. You might impress a couple of your friends, but then you're going to put yourself in debt for that one reason. So I think it's more important that, people are being innovative the way that they are now. And more so, I'm hoping that, that movement kind of takes off because the tiny house thing, I think is a great idea, especially for younger people who are, starting out and, they're in their 20s, but they want to kind of live their own version of, their dream life. They want to own a piece of property. They want to own a home. And I think that's the right way to do it. Not be necessarily be in the confines of a building where you're surrounded by hundreds of other people. You want your own house and, up near a mountain somewhere or whatever your dream scenario is. But I also like that people are not only thinking this way, but they're acting on it in an intelligent way. So I've seen now that they're starting to build material to build houses out of like with 3D printers. So people are actually 3D printing houses. So they'll make like all like the 2x4s and all this other stuff, and then they actually build a house that is plastic, it's weatherproof, and it's all 3D built. It's amazing.
Amazing. And also, like, that 3D material plastic is strong. It's fucking strong. It's
Yeah.
like you couldn't even bend it with your hands. Like, I remember at school days that when the 3D printing, that is strong plastic. I don't know how they make it, but yeah, humans have come from like a cave, for example, a tiny fucking cave with like hundreds of other people. Why does 50 Cent, and he said this, he's got a fucking 15-bed house, he's just him in it. And he says he's not gone down that part of the house for years. He jokes about it, right? Keeps the heating on just so it doesn't like fucking start to go moldy, but it's true. It's perception of you need this 4-bed house after you go to university, you get a mortgage based on, if you earn 50 grand a year, you get a 400 grand mortgage because then you can spend half that on the house.
Right.
It's just what people do. They've not thought about what if you lose your job for fucking even 2 fucking like weeks, like, how you going to pay that back? And now
Right.
you're on catch up. And then you got to get every fucking room carpeted and every room's got a light. Oh, fuck me, this money adds up. Like, I love the fact of just having a little cozy, like, tiny house, like a little gypsy horse carriage that's just got a bed and my TV's on the door and I'm just lying in my bed. I don't, like, when I'm in bed anyway, I'm just looking at my TV. I don't need all this fucking space. As long as I've got a place for my clothes, another storage unit, like my clothes and a mirror, and a place to take a shit. That's really all you need. Like, I love cooking.
Mhm.
It's exciting thinking about having a little stove, a little camping stove. It's not a fucking marble kitchen stove like people have. It's a little camping stove. I might have to go to the shop and get canister to refill it up. That's fun. I feel like I'm camping in my mindset. Like you said, move to the mountains, get up a little horse carriage and just put a little stove up and cook some fresh salmon you've just caught. That is exciting. Like
Yeah.
going to the shopping centre, queuing up for hours to get your salmon, £4 fucking salmon because for £4 for fucking fish, and then you got to bloody cook it on your fucking two grand stove, which costs so much money in gas. It's just fucking too many dependencies along the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, true. People are waking up and realizing, oh, this bollocks. I don't need this fucking £400 Xbox, £1,000 iPhone, and the next year it's only worth 400 quid. You fucking crazy. That's like fucking 20 days of my whole year worth of wages, and I still can't afford to get the carpet done. Shit, simple fucking shit. Like, it's bollocks. It's all bollocks.
Yep, absolutely. And they make it impossible for you to do those things. I mean, I don't know exactly how it works out by you, but like I could tell you that here, like my wife is much like that too. Like you and her are very similar in that way. Like she wants to live off the grid completely. She has no interest in phones. She has no interest in, school systems and office jobs and all that shit. She's like, listen, if it were up to me, I would, we'd pack up. We would just literally go build a fucking cabin somewhere in the mountains and just raise the kids, homeschool them, catch our food, build fires and just be happy and be on our own. Um, Unfortunately, you can't, like, you just can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I could just see us doing it, and, like, on day two, like, a black truck pulls up and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of these woods, or pay our tax. So it's, they would, that dream just, I don't even know where in the world to go in order to achieve that.
That's the thing. Like, you can't just build on land because it's either publicly owned or it's privately owned.
Right.
And then if you buy it from that person privately, you now have to go through regulations and laws and bullshit. And there's so many fucking regulations to stop you from doing it. So you go to the fucking bank and get a
Hmm.
mortgage. That it's just like there's no point even spending any money because just the lawyer fees are just going to cost the fucking house. So really, best thing to do is just get a fucking caravan that you can drive and just move when somebody says, "Get off my land, asshole!" It's just like just keep driving and camping. You might get lucky for like a month, 3 months, or fucking 2 days. But again, that all comes down to freedom. And this thing about education system, right, and homeschooling. Well, homeschooling means you're teaching what the teachers are teaching. They're teaching what the government says that people need to live in the modern world of university, banks, fucking bollocks, right? That, I mean, as you know, it's bollocks anyway. All the knowledge I've learned from YouTube, real life knowledge. I don't need to go to fucking school to learn all this bollocks about maths and algebra and English. I learn English through speaking. I need to know how to survive, how to trade. Everything else you learn in school, history of your country, fucking geography, where Russia is on the map. What? Who the fuck? Why does that matter to my life, right? Are we God or whatever? Who gives a fuck? I believe I want to believe. Thanks. Yeah. How about energy? You didn't teach about energy, did you? All about fucking God and Allah. How about energy? Again, it's all about what the institutions need to keep them up. So you go to school, you go to the university, you go to get a bank, you go to get a mortgage, you pay a tax. It's that cycle. That's how life is built. And if you suddenly, again, the point I'm saying is that teaching your children what? The education system, it's bollocks anyway. I just teach them how to survive and trade and speak to people. And that's all they need to survive.
Right.
Learn to speak, learn to talk, learn to help people, love people, feel
Yep.
empowered. That's what
Absolutely.
homeschooling is. You'll teach your kids in a week.
Absolutely.
And
I
that's
mean,
the thing. Yeah.
we've got the same mindset. I mean, and we tell them even now at a very young age, they're 6, 8, and 10, and they'll bring home a test, and if they got like a 60 or a 70 on it, the first thing my wife tells them is like, just take, good job, and don't let it hurt your feelings. Like she's more concerned with how they're interpreting that grade and how they feel about it. And if obviously I'll work with them because I want them to keep up and I want them to do well. And sadly, we don't live off the grid and we're not completely anonymous. So we do have to keep up. Um, when they're older, they can do what they want. But, we're raising them in a way where we want them to be, we're more concerned with them as being good humans and productive members of our society than saying, oh, I went to such and such college, I drive this type of car, I'm better than you, fuck everyone, it's all about me. Like that's not as important as being, a good human who's able to contribute to the world. And we want them to understand that, even at a very young age.
Absolutely. Like what be like, for example, that failure of 70% and the pass test is 71%. To them, it's failure rather than passing. They feel like I'm not good enough, and all my friends pass, which means I'm not good enough. That affects people's brains forever. That
Mhm.
fucking little piece of paper that some man in an office wrote down 10 questions, and you got to get 7 questions right to pass. And then they go through to the next bit, and then that kid's stuck in the classroom trying to. It's bollocks. Like, that is just bollocks. That is exactly why all these problems exist. And you could say it's created by whatever. Really, it's just how it works. The patterns continue of negative or positive. It's not someone's purposely knowing that if a kid feels failure, he's going to feel worthless, he's going to join this group, and they're going to all become hippies and then support each other, and then we come and take their land away. It's not how it works. It's just the flow of patterns and how one creates more. And all you can really do is teach people that this is how it is, because they're going to grow up with all the majority of their friends believing this, and they're going to suddenly become isolated with their superior knowledge from their parents, right? So you have to teach them that most people think like this. They're still your friend. They don't know any different. They're not better than you. You're not better than them. You know this and they don't. Still be them. Otherwise, you'll become isolated. Um, but this is how it works. Give them both sides of the knowledge rather than just saying, fuck the education system. You don't need to know this. Fuck banks. Just this. This is more important. Fuck that. Because then they will be isolated forever. Like me,
Right.
I had to learn there's that both sides and then selectively choose who I speak about the knowledge to and who I don't. But it's important to
Absolutely.
have both sides because the majority of
Absolutely.
people are part of that, and you need to know that you're going to walk out into town and they're only going to know this, and you have to be able to speak about the normal shit to them. Otherwise, you won't be speaking to anyone.
Right. Yeah, you'll just be the crazy loner in town who's just talking shit and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like you I mean, yes, in some to some degree I think you have to kind of play ball. You have to go along with the bullshit because society's structured itself in a way where, you know, this is what you learn up until this age, then you do this and then you do that and this is what you need to achieve in order to be like everyone else. And if you don't do those things, if you don't follow this very streamlined approach to civilization, then you're an outcast. But I think it's important to understand both sides of it. You know,
And
that it's bullshit, but you need to play ball.
so like power of if you can heal cancer with energy and sound frequencies and vibration, that type of shit. Yeah, I mean, if you went up to 99 people and says, "Did you know that if you played this frequency, like, and put your cancerous leg under a scanner, you'd see the cell tissue breaking down. You can heal cancer with the sound." They think you're fucking crazy, and they'll tell everyone. You know that person thinks that you can heal cancer with the mind. You fucking crazy. My grandma died. Blah 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 blah, and like you can't change their mindset. It's how it's built. It's how societies are built. Yes, if you happen to know somebody with cancer and you use your powers and shit and you healed them, you've done a great thing and you feel good. But don't think you can try and change the world because you changed one because the world doesn't understand. And I think that people who know all this, who become aware of this stuff, realize very quickly that keep your shit to yourself. Tell people, help people who want to be helped because you can't help the whole world because
Right.
you'll just be considered crazy and then you'll be locked up for this belief that you can suddenly move a rock with your mind called telekinesis. Like people don't get that other side, and you learn to keep your shit to yourself because you're just wasting energy, and also people will focus their negative energy on you, looking at you like that asshole thinks he can cure my cancer. Asshole, who does he think he is? And that's negative energy, and you don't want that towards you, because that ends up affecting your energy, their negative energy. So yeah, you selectively understand and choose who you speak your wisdom to. Like
Absolutely.
Jesus, back in Jesus's day, they put him on the cross because he's talking about all this nonsense about forgive your neighbor, don't kill, love each other. This asshole's crazy. Let's burn his ass alive. Put him on the cross. Jesus is like, well, it was a risk I took, saying I could cure your cancer. Risk I could took. I did walk across water. If you don't think I can, that's understandable. And they put the fucker on the cross because he's part of the witchcraft. Like he's part of he's possessed because they don't
Right.
understand that's actually the true knowledge of wisdom. It's just the way it is.
That's the way it
Yeah,
is.
one animal heads leads the pack, and there's always another fucking cow trying to dominate that top cow. You know, telling all the other little cows don't follow him. He's a fucking idiot. And he creates his own little pack behind, and then the other cows saying the same thing. It's just generations of generations, and then they take the cow down. It's like changing a new president. It's just
Right, just keep cycling. Yep.
yeah.
That's funny.
One big tree in a field will get, a fungi will start to take it down, and that's it. No more tree. And then all the other little trees are like, hey, fucker, look at me, fresh leaves. And then in his day, another fungi comes along, or a bird shits on it because the bird's eating some fungus or coronavirus, and the tree's like, fuck, my time to go.
Yeah. That's very true, man. I mean, it's it's a fucking crazy time we're living in right now, and it's there's a lot of silliness, but I think there's a lot of really beautiful things that people need to stop and understand and really take into account, not freak out over a flu and not freak out over toilet paper. I think it's really important that right now everybody focuses on if somebody, if there is an old person who needs help, fucking help them, stop hoarding shit and sitting in your house and just focusing on your own stuff or just sitting on the fucking couch playing on Facebook. You
Do,
know?
do, do you know the knock-on effect of toilet paper was pretty much on the news? Like, I'd be more concerned about food and water, not wiping my ass. Like,
Right.
I could use a sock to wipe my ass, or I could just have a shower. But if food runs out, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, I can go days without wiping my ass. So how did humans cope years ago when they shat in the mountains? Like, that was just it. But food, I need food. So again, people are following the trends. Like, how can people in Australia, Canada, America, England, Ireland all be taking toilet paper? Social fucking media. Because
Right.
it's just, they're following the trend. It's almost like Black Friday fighting over TV. They're fighting over toilet paper. It's like, doesn't fucking make sense. Like, why do you think you're going to run out of toilet paper? Again, because every fucking like Bitcoin. People start to buy Bitcoin when they think Bitcoin's going to go up. It's fucking hilarious. I mean, when you understand both sides, it's hilarious. But yeah, help your old lady, help your neighbour if she can't go out to buy milk because she doesn't want to get ill, as opposed to fighting over the fucking grandma for the toilet roll.
Right.
That
Exactly.
makes me feel good. Helping
Definitely.
somebody. If you need some toilet paper, here, I've got 50 billion. How many do you want? you know,
Right.
no lady
I'll
should.
do anything but help you wipe your ass.
Yeah, like, she's like, excuse me, whilst you're here, would you mind wiping it for me? Oh, oh man.
What I got myself into.
She starts telling all her neighbours, and they all hear this kind gentleman at number 5, who not only will give you free toilet roll, he'll actually wipe your ass for you.
Oh man. Cool.
Yeah. Anything you want to speak about, or should we let this naturally just kill us off like coronavirus? Just naturally, a conversation comes to an end. Anything else you want to talk about?
Um, I gotta get to work, dude.
All right, that's it.
I'd love
Quickly
to
plug
continue
anything you
though.
want to.
What's that?
Quickly plug anything you want to plug. Your toilet rolls drop shipping website.
TP.org. No. So I'm actually a co-host on TNTL Podcast. You can find us at TNTL Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. TNTL stands for Try Not to Laugh. It's a comedy show, lots of dick and fart jokes, nothing like what I am today, but definitely a very entertaining show. It's my friend Brandon and I just talking shit for about 30 minutes and lots of random topics, but definitely an interesting listen and just long enough for your commute to work or not work this week because of coronavirus. But listen to us anyway.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. I'll just say bye at the end.